What if the missing piece in your trading wasn't another strategy, but another person? Because while trading is a solo journey, the truth is nobody succeeds alone. Let's talk about the kind of connections that actually make you a better trader. You are listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. I am your host, Agnieszka Wood, a trading mindset coach and a seasoned day trader with over a decade of experience. If you are new to my show, don't forget to subscribe so you can come back for the next episode. In this podcast, we explore the fascinating world of psychology and the human element of trading. We take a deep dive into different perspectives to inspire you and help you navigate the emotional ups and downs of trading with self-compassion and confidence. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, this podcast is your trusted companion providing support on your trading journey. Get ready to boost your confidence and unlock the secrets to mastering your mindset for success. Welcome to episode 65, Building Real Connections as a Trader. And here we are again, Greg. I am so excited to continue our conversations from 2 weeks ago. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, the episode last was amazing because it was something that truly hit home for me in the way that I started. And the continuation episode of that now is going to be hopefully the path forward that we had taken to be able to form connections to get ourselves out of that isolation, to really figure out what it means to find a community that really props you up and helps you become better at trading and better at viewing yourself.
Absolutely. When you are looking for connection, first thing to ask yourself is why? What is it that I am actually looking for? Why do I need someone to talk to me while I'm trading? Why do I need some sort of noise, outside noise, to help me to make better decisions while I'm looking at the charts? Because there is already a lot of noise in our head. We talked about it too, like noise that can sway you from one decision to the other in a matter of milliseconds. So why do we need that extra noise outside? So let's begin with talking about two types of communities. There is this noise-driven community where we said, okay, there's a lot of chatter there. It's about everything, but really about nothing, where you start feeling like it's just a hype and you feel bad about yourself. And then versus the value-driven communities. How do you recognize what kind of community is this? And what kind of community should I be a part of, or do I want to be a part of it? So how would you say how to recognize when the community is actually focused on performance versus distraction?
The distraction part should be something that you should pay attention to in the very beginning, because the distraction part will be a chat group that is massive. Usually they are super fast. They're not really honed in on really what you're looking to accomplish. They're really just looking at either a short, quick trade in multiple different time frames. They're not really telling you this is the time frame that I'm going to trade it at. This is why I'm going to trade it. This is, the reasons that I'm going to trade it. Here's why. They'll just tell you, I'm going to take a position in this and this. And they're not giving you explanations of why. And those are really the chaotic groups that then you'll start getting people jumping in going, well, that's not right. You shouldn't do that. No, because I see it completely different. And now by the time that you're in that chat, you're hearing 40 different opinions on one chart or one entry point and one exit point, when you're not really learning anything. You're just playing catch up to all of the people that are throwing things against the wall and hoping something sticks so that their ego can get validated. And then they get to go into the chat and say, see, I told you because this is why. I said, if you look back in the chat, should not do that because of this, this, and this. A lot of that will be ego driven.
Right. Yeah. A lot of proving yourself right. pay attention, like if you look at ads on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, everywhere where you see, I give you hot tips, stay away, basically.
Oh God, yeah.
Because most of those chat rooms are a hype. And I haven't been in all those chat rooms, but I can tell you I've been to many when I was searching for hot tips. So first of all, ask yourself, are you searching for hot tips? But even when you are, if you are as desperate as I was before, trying to have someone to just tell you what to do, those chat rooms, as Greg said, they will give you hot tips, but it doesn't mean you will make money, because you will not understand what you are doing. You will see people bragging about their wins, which will only cause you a lot of frustration. And most likely you will start over trading, just hitting the buttons, because you will want to be the one who is posting in a chat as well. I just made so much money, right? So you might be oversizing because you have no idea what account size they have. And it's just a lot of different noise. The conversation topic of the chat room and communities that is focused on performance will be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It will be honest breakdown of decision making, right? They will tell you what is the reason, how are they thinking, what is the thinking behind their decisions. They will evaluate the trades. They will look at what are the lessons from those trades that didn't work, what are the lessons from the trades that did work. So as you can imagine, if you this is something you can notice very quickly, and a lot of chat rooms have like the trial period. So if you are trying different chat rooms, pay attention to that. Some mentors in those chat rooms as well, they do talk about mindset, which is a very important part of trading. So look for those cues as well. Are they only talking about hitting the buttons, or also about the psychology behind their decisions?
Yeah, they're massive. Yeah, because you will know innately the difference once you've joined both, once you've seen both sides of the coin. The chaotic nature of the bragging and the showing and the this is, I made this and this is what I did. You'll start to see that more often. And then once you finally switch to a community where you'll find performance driven and supportive, you'll start to see they're not bragging about how much money they did make or whatever they did. They're actually more walking you through a strategy of, okay, so this is one of the reasons that I made that trade, because I was trading in a 10-minute time frame. And in that 10-minute time frame, I started to recognize that volume bars started to increase, and it was bringing it down to a support area that I thought was going to make sure that it would bounce some. And I knew that as this began to grow, it was going to go up to a resistance level of this. And here's why I made that trade. And those are very different scenarios that we can tell you about. But once you experience them and see them, you'll start to recognize them very quickly, because those are the people that really do care about your performance. They don't care about the dollar. They care about the strategy. They care about the thinking. They care about the mindset. They care about the psychology. They care about the strategy.
Yeah.
They're not there to brag, and their ego is not the thing they lead with.
So good. Like if you would sum it up, the difference is they don't tell you what to do, the good ones, but they tell you how to do it, right? So that you can take that how and use it in your own trading. And this is also the reason why we are not giving you the list of these chat rooms are good, these chat rooms are bad. We are
Yes.
telling you how you can make that decision, how you can decide for yourself and make that distinction while you are there. Because in trading, everything is about making your own decisions. This is the only way how you can take responsibility for the outcomes and actually start treating it seriously. Because the danger is, if you follow someone and you just take what they tell you to do, you don't feel responsible at all. You're putting the responsibility on them. How many times after doing something like that, you said, oh yeah, but he told me to do that. And now you don't feel like it was you who is actually responsible. And if you don't feel responsible for your actions, you will not learn from those decisions that didn't work, because you will
Agreed.
just shove it on someone else and say, oh yeah, but he's stupid, or this, he did that. It wasn't me. I just followed. Just remember, you made a decision to follow. So it is still your responsibility. You're just avoiding it.
Yep. And that's when you can start to really build a connection. When you start to take responsibility for the things that you've done, you can then build the connection that will help in that group. For the other side, when you're just following things, as you just brilliantly said, you can place the responsibility and blame on someone else. You're never going to be able to have a real, honest, open conversation because you don't think you did anything wrong. You just followed somebody else's strategy. But when you actually take the time to say, I'm the one that chose that risk management, I'm the one that chose that size, I'm the one that chose that time frame, I'm the one that chose that strategy. That's when you get to say, oh, okay, so this is now a connection in a conversation between two people that are trying to get better, not a one-way dialogue of pointing the finger on who did what, when, where, why, and how. And that's really the bigger difference at building a true connection and building up the confidence and responsibility and vulnerability for you to be able to see what you did right and what you did wrong.
Absolutely. So when you are leaving your trading desk at the end of the day, when you were part of a broader online conversation, the difference would be, at least that was what it was for me, is that after being in a chat room that was more hype driven, I felt FOMO. When I was logging off, I felt FOMO, like I missed out on something because everyone else made money and I ended up with nothing or with a loss. I would constantly compare myself with others, which would create doubt for me, like there is something wrong with me. What am I doing wrong? I would really feel bad about myself, about my performance, about my day. And this is how I would walk away from the day. On the other hand, when you are part of a conversation like with mentor or someone who really understands and is focused on building you up as a trader, focused on looking at your trading or each other trading, because this could be, just few traders you meet up with every day and discuss how your day went, honestly, from the perspective of we are here to learn. You will leave with more clarity. You will leave with different perspective because everyone will share their perspective on what you did or what you could have done. So it will help you with your sense of confidence because now you have learned something new. You actually grew as a trader. No matter if you have ended the day red or green, you have added value to yourself as a human being, as a trader, as a person. And that is a huge difference between how you live your day. Do you have any experience with that?
Yeah, wholeheartedly. When you had said that, I think the thing that rang true with me was what I didn't recognize or even take into account was that when I would add to the group or I would add what I've done or my thinking or my positive or negative trade, whatever it was, I didn't even take into account. I thought it was about me. And then when you're in a supportive group and you're in a group that really does want to see you succeed, when you share, you have the opportunity to teach others, which I never thought about. I always thought it was, oh my God, this is about, I'm going to show them that I just traded terrible and I just took, 3 losses. Or I'm going to show them that I took 4 losses and then 2 positive trades. What I never thought about was the ability for me to say, hey, here's the trade that I took and why I took it, and have someone else in that group go, oh my God, I never thought about it that way. That's awesome. Thank you. I never even thought to look at that in that way, or draw those lines, or see it in that time frame, or change from a 1 hour time frame to a 4 hour time frame. That's pretty crazy. I like how you did that. And that builds confidence in you. Even though you may be showing a red trade and a green trade, teaching also comes from those groups, and that can come from you. And that's not something that I ever thought about in the very beginning.
Success doesn't come in isolation, and it's sharing, it's learning from each other, also inspiring each other, because you might feel like I'm a little shy to share, I'm not really a group person, I don't really want to say what I did wrong. But by making a step in one direction, maybe you shared something today, maybe you extended yourself and you say, I am going to share, you also inspire others who are in that group to do the same thing. They suddenly start seeing what is possible, right? So there is just such a bigger impact to it than just for yourself. And I think we are often so caught up about me, and I, that we forget that we are part of a bigger thing. We are all connected, and you are always making impact on other people. And now you can choose, am I making a positive impact? I like to call it imprint, because no matter what you do, remember that even if you don't do something, you're still making an imprint by not saying things, by not doing things, by not engaging. You are making an imprint because you are connected with other people. So when you are in a community, regardless of which type, the moment you step into it, you are part of it. So the community makes an impact on you, and you are making impact on the community. I think it's really important to be aware of that. When you are joining a community, you are just fly on the wall. It's an impact. It's a clear decision of, I am here, but I am not gonna be engaging, right? And it just makes an impact. It makes an impact on you and on others as well.
It does. And one of the best sayings that I've heard is, when you feel as though you need help, sometimes the best thing to do is to help someone else. And then when you can find a group that you feel as though you need to learn how to trade, you are struggling and you're trying to gain as much information as you can, and you're trying to find a strategy, and you're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, you need help. And sometimes the best thing to do is to simply put out what you're doing and maybe help someone else recognize what's happening. And when you do that, that instills confidence in you that you didn't see the other side of the coin when it was just such a me attitude of, I need this, I need to trade, I need to know, oh, wait a second. I can also add to other people that are looking for help. I can also help teach someone the mistakes that I made so that they don't make them. And when you reverse the way that you see the I in that scenario, you start to build a community of support and recognition and responsibility and accountability. And that really just starts to build your confidence level in being able to figure out how to trade and why to trade.
That's so true. And this is one of the big breakthroughs for traders, for people in general, because a lot of people who are getting into trading, I'm talking from experience, but also from experience as a coach, they have high level of perfectionism. They have very high standards for themselves, and they feel like they cannot help someone else unless they know everything, or unless they are completely perfect. And this is not just stopping you from learning from your own mistakes and actually admitting you're making mistakes, because if you should be perfect, then you should not be making mistakes. So that's one of the blocks for people to actually move forward. But having that idea of like, I cannot add value to someone else because I'm still struggling. Well, by sharing your struggle, you are adding the value. By sharing your thinking process, you're adding the value, because just by the simple fact of sharing it, Someone else might get inspired to share theirs. Someone else might get the feeling of, oh, well, maybe I can try to share next time. Maybe I can get out of my shell and try it too. So I think the impact of understanding that you are part of the community is absolutely huge for your development as a trader and as a human being, because we do influence each other.
Yeah. And not only in groups, I mean, that's in life as well. And you might be able to tell people a mistake that you made, and they may be struggling with the same thing. And you just sharing the mistake that you made might give them the insight to go, oh my God, I was just thinking about doing that. Oh, okay. I can see why I probably shouldn't do that now. So even in the silent aspect of what you're sharing, you may actually be helping people become better at trading and become better at being a human, because they might not repeat the same mistake or the same strategy or the same exit entry point, whatever it is that you made. And in actuality, silently, you're helping them understand something that they needed, which they just didn't vocalize.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think feedback is such an important thing in communities. And I think if you look at the two different type of communities, one last thing that I wanted to mention is pay attention to the feedback you are getting, but pay also attention to the questions you are getting and whether you are getting any questions. Because in the distraction environment, nobody will ask you about your goals. Nobody will ask you about your process or your plan. It's just noise and opinions. There is really no accountability there. If you have a community that is focused on performance, people will check in. They will ask you, how is it going? They will ask you about your process. They will not ask you how much money you made. They will call you out on patterns, on self-sabotage, on things that you are saying to yourself. They will mirror you because they are in the same process. And it's a very different focus. And I think that if you just see the chat that goes about short-term P&Ls and, who caught what move today, then you might start asking yourself, how is this influencing how I feel about myself? Because you need to care how you feel every single moment, every single day. When you sit in front of the charts, you need to care how you feel and take care that you feel in a way that will allow you to make confident decisions. And if anything around you is taking you out of that alignment with yourself, where you feel, I have my plan, I know why, I don't know if it's going to work, but I have prepared myself, just exclude those distractions. It's irrelevant. They will not add anything to your performance. Be very skeptical and be very picky in what are you allowing to enter your awareness at the trading desk when you are here to perform, just like an actor, when you're on stage. And Greg, you can actually maybe say something about that, because you were just on a stage, right? I did not forget that. I do want you to say something about your performance at TED Talk that you did recently. When you are on that stage, you have to be focused on what is it that you are here to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Very, very, very much so. And to echo what the community really means is, just as a short story, the TEDx community that I just was a part of, and the other 11 speakers that were there, the curator who's been doing this for years had said she's never been around a group of people that have done what we did. And every single one of us, we started our own text chain. We texted all of our numbers to everybody so that we could figure it out. We got on Zoom calls before we even met each other in person. We all talked. We all talked about the strategy that we were going to do, what people were talking about, how they were going to develop their speech, what they were doing, strategies they were using. So when we got to the venue, every single one of us wasn't sitting in front of a face that we didn't know how to approach them, know how to speak to them. We all were able to meet each other in person and being supportive and helping in every single aspect before we stepped on that stage. Because that is a community that really wants you to succeed, and you know it because they aren't caring about what your slide looks like versus their slide, or what your speech is versus their speech. It's just about how you do it. And it's the same thing that when you get on that stage, or when you open up your laptop or you open up your computer and you need to trade, and it's your time to shine in the spotlight, because that's what trading is. It's you. Same thing as being on stage and that red dot inside that TEDx. It's your time to shine. And you have to be able to deliver the strategy, the practice, the thought process, the experience, and everything that goes along with delivering a speech or following through with your strategy.
Absolutely.
But that all comes from a community that can help you get to where you need to be. A small example of an individual that I had helped, which does carry over to every part of life, was she was very struggling so much with the speech that she was going to talk about. And she asked me why I wasn't struggling. And I had said, because I recognize that the acceptance of my speech has nothing to do with the human that I am. So the information that I'm going to be sharing, the strategies that I'm going to be sharing, the stories that I'll be sharing, those are just experiences in the way that I have seen the world. And I'm just sharing that information with individuals. Whether or not they choose to accept that is out of my control. But my story has nothing to do with who I am as a human, how I treat people, the manner in which I go about my life, how I choose to praise and help and support the people that are around me. This talk has nothing to do with that. And the same thing in your training strategy.
Do you feel like you being a trader contributed to that type of approach in life?
That type of approach was definitely exposed in trading for sure, because when you start to recognize that the strategy that you're deploying has nothing to do with who you are as a human, the risk that you're exposing yourself to is going to have nothing to do with the way that you're going to eat dinner with your loved ones that night, or go out and share an experience with your friends. They're two separate aspects, and they do not define who you are, how you go about life, and what you choose to do. There are strategies that you can pivot off of, but they do not define you. And that's how you can create space from public speaking, that I have helped a bunch of different people understand the concepts around why public speaking is fear. A lot of people fear as though that if they don't like the speech, they don't like them. That's a completely different scenario. And the same thing, that if you feel as though that strategy didn't work, you're a terrible trader. Those are not hand in hand true. You can change off of your strategy. You can change up your speech. You can figure out a way that works for that moment, but that doesn't carry over to how you choose to go about your life. They're separate.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people have trouble with accountability in trading, because they do translate their own value onto their results. So if their trading results are negative, it takes away from their value as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So they evaluate themselves through their results and what they are worth. And when you do that, it's very hard to look for accountability and to share something, because being accountable means looking at your results. And if you don't like those results and you value yourself through them, it will hurt you every single time, deep in your heart, because you will feel like you're taking away something from who you are, and you will start feeling bad about yourself. So the accountability in trading is a must, because you have to learn and you have to constantly improve. But if you deny yourself the accountability, that's where you get stuck. And having someone that keeps you accountable helps you to get over that connection that Greg is talking about, from that connection of like, my results, my strategy is me, to I am the trader, I am trading the strategy, and the results are an equation of the strategy with how I trade that strategy, not with who I am. Completely taking your identity as a trader out of that, your identity as a person, your value as a person, out of your trading results.
100%. And that is one of the biggest pros to finding a pro community, not a community that will just care about, stats. They're going to care about your trading, but they're also going to care about the mindset and mentality that you approach trading, and recognizing that your strategy may have been traded wrong, and that's okay. That doesn't make you as a human being wrong. And once you can create some separation with the correct group, with the correct support, with the correct guidance, you can then start to build a completely separate view when you sit down to trade, that's one part of your life that you're going to choose to put on display. But that does not mean that's an all-encompassing aspect. And that's where huge support communities come in to help you build confidence and belief in yourself.
Right. And there is a lot of different communities and a lot of different reasons why you are part of the community, right? One thing that in trading for me is really important for your success is that you intentionally choose the type of community that you are part of. Because you can be part of all kinds of communities and then spend, hours and hours on social media just browsing, and if this is the way that you want to spend your time, it's up to you. But if you want to grow as a trader, then have a very clear focus on what connections you're making. And for your trading, the purpose of being part of the community is to increase your performance edge so that you can grow, so that you can become a better trader, not just so that you feel good, right? So you have to make that distinction. Am I part of the community to feel good? Is that my goal, just to feel good and, feel like we are all in the same boat and we are all struggling? And because there is a lot of communities like that, right? I've heard of people who would go, on Friday nights for a happy hour with all traders that are struggling, and they sit there and they have a drink and they talk about their struggle. Like, this is not helping. Talking about your struggle is not helping you. I just want you to realize, maybe it feels good because you feel like you are not alone in your struggle.
Yeah.
But this is why over 90% of traders are in that bucket. And if you keep doing that, you will stay in that bucket. In order to get into the bucket where you don't struggle, you actually thrive and you grow, this is a very different type of community. Community that will sharpen your edge, community that is focused on breaking the patterns that you cannot see yourself, that you get the external perspective, that you get the support that you need, not just a tap on the shoulder, oh, you'll be fine, but really hands-on support of, let's see how we can make it better. And from there, your emotional resilience is going to grow, because yes, you are not there on your own, but you are also seeing a clear path.
Yeah.
And you feel every time when you engage with that community that you are making a step forward.
100% correct. And to put it in terms of, think about a group that you have been in, whether that's in the neighborhood or a hobby of yours, whatever it is. If you continually go into that group and you just take and take and take and take, no one in that group is going to want to help you.
Right.
They're not going to want to build you up. They're not going to want to help you. They're not, because all you've done, you've never added value. You've never been vulnerable enough to say, I made mistakes. You've never been vulnerable enough to say, boy, I really wish I made a different decision than that. I'm really struggling with this.
Yeah, and vulnerability is a condition for you to sit in front of the screen and allow the market to punch you, right? Because when you're taking a loss, it does feel like a punch. And in order not to fight it back, you got to be willing to make yourself vulnerable for that and being prepared for that. And when you are entering community, when you are not vulnerable to share, make that your goal. Just if you enter a community and you say, you know what, I'm doing this with an intention to finally show myself. And, a community where nobody cares might be a good step for the first
Right? Yeah.
try, because you say, well, nobody will notice anyway. I am just here for me, just to try to put myself out there. Although I actually do not recommend it, because it might hurt you if you have people who are going to make fun of you, right? Because they don't care, they don't know who you are. So I would still search for community that has the right focus and that has the right people in there, because you don't want to get out there and get hurt and then tell yourself, you see, that's why I don't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah. And that can happen when you actually do become vulnerable with aspects. If people start giving you negative feedback or pointing fingers or making fun or laughing, immediately deep down, that's your exit point. You don't need to stick around to those individuals that are going to laugh at you or going to say, yeah, I'd never make that mistake. Unbelievable. You shouldn't even be trading if you're making that mistake. That's just stupid. That's not the right place. And that's not a community. That's just a prop trading firm that really only cares about profit.
Absolutely. I want to send my gratitude to you, because outside of this podcast, we talk a lot about our struggles and our trading and our ideas. And I always really appreciate it, Greg. And, sometimes when you are in a position where you teach other people, a lot of people have an impression that you're perfect and that you've got it all, because they look from their own perspective. But I can tell you guys, there is always something I learn every single day, and I love learning from other people. And the more I expose my blind spots, like myself, is like, you know what, I really don't know how to do that, or yeah, this is something I really want to learn. And I do challenge myself on a regular basis, because I notice that the more I do it, the more my nervous system is okay with that. It's like, oh, okay, here we go again. Let's expand even more. Let's expand even more. You build the resilience. You build the resilience to things that I could not even fathom years ago that I would be doing. Right? There were just so many different fears. Like if you have told me 20 years ago that I would have podcast, I would have all kinds of objections about my language, about my accent, about like all kinds of things. Like what? Not just that, these are practical things, but things like, who would want to listen to me? You know what I mean? So there is always something that, that we can always expand in little things, but also in big things. But the biggest thing of all for me is to really let go of your own limitations that you create in your own head. So if for some reason you're telling yourself, oh my God, who would want to hear about my trading struggle? Who would want to help me? I have to figure it out all on my own. I want to challenge you. Think of one trader you trust, or maybe your best friend who knows you are trading and who has been supportive, and send them a note, make it a voice note today, and share your biggest challenge right now. It could be about trading if you talk to a trader, or do it with a friend about something else. What is the biggest challenge that you are facing right now? And just share the note. Just say, I just wanted to share it. I'm just curious about your thoughts. And just notice how this will make you feel, because probably there will be a lot of fears coming up. There will be a lot of demons popping up. Once you have sent that, you'll go like, oh my God, how do I unsend this? And see what comes back. Challenge yourself, get yourself a little bit out of that limitation box so that you can feel discomfort. Every time you feel the discomfort, you know you're close to the breakthrough, because this is where things become the most difficult. When you are about to break another fear, this is where it becomes the most fearful. This is a good sign. When you are uncomfortable, welcome it. It's a good sign.
Yeah, it is exposure therapy. And that is a beautiful explanation of it. We all have flaws. Every single one of us has the ability to succeed at some things and not succeed at others. And the more you expose yourself and push yourself into those scenarios where you can have a sounding board that you trust and a sounding board that you know will be able to hold you accountable and will be able to recognize, okay, you're struggling, so I shouldn't point out your flaws right now, but I can say, you've gotten to this point. I know you can already get here and beyond this. So let's figure out a path forward, because every single one of us struggles with one thing or another on a daily basis. And the more that you can expose yourself to it, the better you will be able to handle it moving forward in the future. And that's not saying jump head first into, expose yourself to absolutely everything. No, that will be overwhelming and probably build anxiety and fears, but start small, open up to somebody and say, I'm really struggling with this right now. And I just wanted to let you know, and hopefully I'll be able to get through it. And if you have any assistance or help or guidance, I'd love it. But I just really wanted to let you know that I'm struggling. And the more you expose yourself to those aspects, the more you'll start to see that there are people on your side. Like, as Agnieszka said, we talk before this podcast and after this podcast, and we'll still talk after this. We share ideas, we share concepts, we talk about things that aren't even revolving around trading. But that's because we both have gotten to a point that we know that the other one will be there to help in the best way that they possibly can. And that's exactly why you find a community and you find people that you know will have your back when you need it.
Absolutely. So next time when you log off a trading group you're a part of, just ask yourself, did I learn something that makes me better? Or did I just get entertained?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yes.
Greg, I want to thank you so much for this conversation. As always, I absolutely adore it. And I really hope that, we gave some value and ideas about how to make those decisions for yourself, how to make sure that that you guys have the best support for your trading, for your performance, for you feeling good as a trader about yourself, and also how to move forward and how to challenge yourself and how to grow as a trader.
Agree wholeheartedly, my friend. That is our purpose. We hope that sharing real, honest stories between the both of us about personal lives, about what we've done, our failures, our successes, and how we've chosen to support each other through them in groups and just personally, that you guys start to get the ideas and concepts of don't isolate yourself, find a community that will help you, find a community that will get the best out of you in the manner that serves you and the community, to make sure that everyone benefits, not just an individual.
Thank you so much, Greg. And I look forward to our next conversation. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. If you are enjoying my show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and tell me what you like about it. Thanks to you, more traders will be able to find me, and together we'll make a bigger impact. So thank you so much. If you are new to my show, don't forget to subscribe so you can come back for the next episode. And make sure to also check some of the previous shows. Thank you again for tuning in. This is Agnieszka Wood from A Head Coach. Bye for now.